So there is a new Linux bug that gives root on all major distributions. Let's talk about it. So what's up guys, it's Josh back with another video, and today I want to talk about an article that I actually found that talks about a Linux bug that looks very dangerous. So let's hop over to the browser so I can show you guys this article and we can actually talk about it. Boom. So as you can see from the title of the article, it says new Linux bug gives root on all major distros, exploit released. And this article was released on March 7th, 2022, which was a couple days ago, and it was written by Lawrence Abrams. So I want to give him credit for actually putting this information out there. This is the first place I actually seen it, so far. But let's scroll down a little bit through the article, and it says a new Linux vulnerability known as Dirty Pipe allows Linux users to gain root privileges through publicly available exploits. Today's security researcher Max Kellerman responsibly disclosed the Dirty Pipe vulnerability and stated that it affects Linux kernel 5.8 and later versions, even on Android devices. Now that's the most dangerous part to me right there, because we all know that there are millions and millions of Android devices out there. Let's read a little more, but this covers the vulnerability tracker, and it says the vulnerability is tracked as CVE 2022-0847. So you could actually copy that and search that, and they'll probably bring up a little bit more information about the actual vulnerability. And it says, and allows a non-privileged user to inject and overwrite data in read-only files, including the suid processes that run as root. So that's dangerous. That's very dangerous right there. It says Kellerman discovered the bug after tracking down a bug that was corrupting web server access logs for one of his customers. Kellerman states that the vulnerability is similar to the Dirty Cow vulnerability fixed in 2016, and I remember that actual vulnerability when it first came out and people were talking about it, the Dirty Cow vulnerability. But I never did much research on it. You know what I'm saying? I just remember it was fixed though, relatively quickly. But it says public exploits give root privileges. As part of the Dirty Pipe disclosure, Kellerman released a proof of concept, and that's what most of these guys do that find these vulnerabilities. They'll test out the concept, to see if you can actually exploit that vulnerability, which is exactly what he did to, prove his case at the end of the day. But it says exploits that allow local users to inject their own data into sensitive read-only files, removing restrictions and modifying configurations to provide greater access than they usually would have. And that's very crazy, you know what I'm saying? But let's read this example, because I want to show you guys this example, because I've actually modified this file in the past, you know what I'm saying, and this will give people access to actually modify it. But it says, for example, security researcher Plethon illustrated how they could use the exploit to modify the Etsy password file so that the root user does not have a password. Once this change is made, the non-privileged user could simply execute su root command and gain access to the root account. And once you got root, that's pretty much it. The person could do whatever they want on this server, whatever server they have access to. So that's super crazy right there, man. And this is the actual tweet for it. It says, why did I overwrite the Etsy password? So that's just super crazy. I'm not gonna read the rest of it, but check it out on Twitter. I'll have this link down in the description of the video. But he says, however, an updated exploit by security researcher Blasty was also publicly released today that makes it even easier to gain root privileges by patching the user bin su command to drop a root shell at temp sh and then executing the script. So Once executing, the user gains root privileges as demonstrated by a bleeping computer below in Ubuntu 20.04.3 LTS running 5.13.0-27 generic kernel. So that's actually crazy. I might go through and actually play around with this and see if I can actually exploit this. But it also says the vulnerability was responsibly disclosed to various Linux maintainers starting on February 20th, 2022, including the Linux kernel security team and Android security team. And that's one cool thing about open source and Linux in general. They typically get things patched pretty quickly, and most people like open source and they want to protect the open source, especially developers. And so when they find something, 9 times out of 10 they report it, unless it's a bad actor or some hacker that finds it. But typically once it's found, it's reported and patched pretty quickly. But just to read a little more, it says while the bug has been fixed in Linux kernel 5.16, 5.15, 5.10, many servers continue to run outdated kernels, making the release of this exploit a significant issue to server administrators. So you want to make sure you update your kernels. You know what I'm saying? Just go on and update them so you don't find yourself vulnerable. And that's only if you can. I know in certain instances you may have a server with a piece of software on it that if you update the kernel, it'll break that application because of modules and all that stuff that you have enabled within the current kernel. It's only able to run on that specific kernel. You know what I'm saying? So that's an issue when it comes to being a server manager or a server administrator. You know what I'm saying? Some applications or some things just can't be patched. You know what I'm saying? But that's basically the issue. But it also says, furthermore, due to the ease of gaining root privileges using this exploit, it's only a matter of time before threat actors begin using this vulnerability when conducting attacks. And that's one thing I always recommend people do. Just go down and update your systems. Make sure you use passwords that are complex. You change your passwords as needed, and also in most Linux environments, they disable the root account. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to have that available at all, so just go down and disable that root account if you can. I know Ubuntu comes with it off by default or disabled by default, but let's read a little bit more. It says the similar dirty cow vulnerability was previously used by malware, even though it was harder to exploit. This bug is especially concerning for web hosting providers who offer Linux shell access or universities that commonly provide shell access to multi-user Linux systems. Yeah, definitely. Because that's so true. There are some Linux systems out there with a whole bunch of accounts on it. You know what I'm saying? If somebody gets one of those accounts or one of the information for that account on that system, they can easily upgrade themselves to root. But it also says it has been a rough 12 months for Linux, and that's so true. With numerous high-profile privilege elevation vulnerabilities disclosed. This includes privilege elevation vulnerabilities in the Linux ISCSI subsystem, another kernel bug, the extended Berkeley packet filter, and the poll kit, which I covered on the channel as well. That vulnerability was out there as well. So that's why you want to make sure you update your system as much as you can. And if you need to, just go down and turn on automatic updates on your server. That way you can get all the security patches as soon as they release. You know what I'm saying? Your system is constantly checking for those patches, and it'll update your system. And sometimes you just have to go on and reboot the system. So be careful out there, and that's even for people that are just running like a home lab. People are constantly trying to exploit these systems and use them for whatever they want to, so be very careful. But anyway, I just really wanted to cover this because this was an article that seemed to have been missed because of everything that's going on in the world. There are other issues going on out there you know, like the gas prices, as well as what's going on in Ukraine, which is directly tied to what's going on in the Ukraine. But I at least wanted to cover this for anybody that's interested, you know what I'm saying, to check out this vulnerability and share it with you guys, so you guys would know what's actually going on in this, on the cyber side. And also check out my man Gabe Bay. I believe he is the one that sent me this article, and he is a cybersecurity professional. So check out his channel, Struggle Security. I go down and link his channel down in the description of the video as well, so you guys can check out his channel. He can definitely help you guys that are interested in getting into the cybersecurity field. And then also, if you want to learn Linux in general, I do have a introduction to Linux course, so make sure you guys check that out. It was recently picked up by Free Code Camp, and I think it's currently sitting at 100,000 views, and it has a whole bunch of comments or positive comments about the course. So I didn't expect that type of feedback, but it looks like it's being received well. So make sure you guys check that out if you're interested in learning Linux. I know there's plenty of people out here that talk about it, but just check mine out, give it a try, you know, leave a comment, let me know what I could have done better with it. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, leave comments down in the comments below. And of course, keep it techie.